Hello, Husky wrestling fans. I'm Ethan, and I'm here with head coach Steve Costanzo. And we had you guys fill out a survey earlier this week where you could ask questions for Steve. So we're going to go through a couple of those right now. You excited?
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's get to it.
So the first question I have here is, what's been the most difficult part of this season?
Well, the most difficult part is the unknowns from week to week, and obviously the COVID's been a huge factor in all the unknowns. Things change by the minute. For example, 1 minute or 1 week we're being quarantined, and then we get word that the next day or whatever that we can go ahead and open shop back up. And sometimes kids will get calls at 6:30 in the morning to calls and text messages at 9, 10 o'clock at night. So it's been really difficult on our student athletes, but I will say that they've handled it very well, probably a lot better than I have. But it is what it is, and these are situations we really can't control, and they're out of our hands. We just got to make the best of it.
Exactly. Team's still looking well with all of it too.
Yeah, they're doing okay. I mean, we're looks like we're making a little bit of progress right now from our Upper Iowa duel. We had some things that we were really proud of there, and we have to continue to work hard here. We got another week and a half before the regional tournament to sharpen some skills up and sharpen some individuals up, and let her fly at the regional championships.
Absolutely, looking forward to that. So you've talked a bit here about the regional tournament and all that kind of stuff. We'll be facing against NSIC teams and all that kind of stuff. Out of all the opponents here in the NSIC, is there a certain one you look forward to wrestling against each season?
We have some significant rivalries with some of these teams, and the thing about it is every time these teams face us, they look on putting their A game together, and they have to. And for us, it's a challenge because anytime they get a win or do something significant in a duel, it really changes the momentum of the match, so to speak. So we really have to be consistent in the way that we perform and show up every match. We can't take any one of our these teams in NSIC lightly, especially this year. I think this year it's the field is very well matched. Unlike other years where we have been really dominant throughout the NSIC. This year, I think there's a lot more teams in the mix than one would think, and Northern State won their first. They have a share of the conference title first conference title since I believe '02 or '03, and so they're really fired up, and their guys are excited and confident, and they're going to be a good team at the NSIC tournament or region. And then you got Minnesota State Mankato had a great year. Of course, we wrestled those guys. We won 6 of the 10 matches. They wrestled us strong, and it's a pretty evenly matched field right now. So it's going to take a really good performance at the regional tournament to win it.
I see. Next question we have here: who's been your favorite wrestler to coach?
That's a really hard question. I don't know if I could name an individual. My favorite guys to coach are ones that are team-oriented, always put the team first, are coachable, have a lot of coachability. And what I mean by coachability is willing to take criticism. Everybody can take a pat on the back, and how many guys are willing or able to take criticism. So every one of our guys has things that they can work on and get better at. And I know a lot of guys don't like maybe me to be quite honest with them from time to time. But I think that's only fair to be honest with them, and I may make decisions and tell them things that they don't want to hear and don't agree with. But the individuals that take it with a grain of salt, so to speak, and move on and get better from it, those are the guys I like working with. So we got a great group of guys. There's no doubt, but there's always those certain guys that you feel a little bit more comfortable working with than others.
Exactly. Next question we got here is, what are some of the things that you look for when recruiting a wrestler?
Well, obviously, first and foremost is the academic portion of things. So I think that's probably, besides getting their information, that's probably the second question that I have for their coach. or themselves is when I call them is, you know, what are you interested in studying in school? How are your grades? What's your GPA like? What are some of your favorite classes? What are some of the classes you're not very good in, and so forth. And then from there, it's just as far as skill level goes. I really like kids that are well-rounded, and what I mean by that is individuals that participate in multiple sports. They're not just wrestling all the time. I really like the guys that are athletes.
Mm-hmm.
They play football, baseball, they're in track, or in cross country. Individuals that just like to compete. Then obviously you look at the wrestling, wrestling technical side of things, and then you can kind of narrow things out from there. But I like guys that like to compete, love to compete, have the passion for competing, and want to be the very best that they can be.
We like to hear that, don't we?
Yes.
What made you choose to come to St. Cloud State?
Well, funny thing is, when I grew up wrestling from Nebraska, Omaha, University of Nebraska, Omaha College, we came up here a few times, part of the old NCC conference, North Central Conference, one of the premier conferences in Division II at the time. So I had an opportunity to come up here and compete as a competitor, and came up here and fished a lot as a kid, and I like the outdoors, and I'm not really that big into hunting and things like that, but I do like fishing. I like being outside. Minnesota's a great place. St. Cloud's a great institution, right smack dab in the middle of the state. We're surrounded around great wrestling here in the state of Minnesota, and I thought, why not Minnesota? I could go to Minnesota. I felt like being centrally located here, we could be successful. We could have a successful program. Brought my wife up, talked to her about it. She was all on board with it, so we made the move to Minnesota 15 years ago now. So it's been a great one.
Yeah, especially even with the winters too.
Well, I'm not too fond of the winters, but we're able to get through it. Fortunately, wrestling's in the winter season, so all of our time is spent majority indoors in a nice warm wrestling room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No kidding. I was about to say it gets
Yeah.
it gets hot in there sometimes.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Final question that I have here for you is how difficult do you think the jump from high school to college wrestling is?
Yeah, I think everybody's a little bit different on how difficult it is going to be for them. I think the biggest adjustment going from high school to college is probably the physicality of it, the strength that you wrestle in a lot of 9th, 10th, 11th graders as a senior. You can get away with doing things in a non-technical aspect and get away with it in scoring. In college, guys are a little bit stronger, faster, more explosive, more technical. Again, the physicality of it. So I think the adjustment from high school to college is a big one. The biggest thing I see is just attitude. Attitude is so key for these guys when they make that jump, because you're going to go through a lot of hills and valleys in college, and especially your freshman year, maybe your first 2 or 3 years. So keeping the right attitude, keeping the right focus day to day is really critical on their development as a young wrestler in college.
I see, and I guess a question that I have, kind of to piggyback off some of the stuff you said there, is what about the experience? You have guys that have been wrestling for longer. Do you think that matters once college begins to roll around, or do you think everyone's kind of figured out their own style?
Yes and no. I think that everybody matures differently as they age, and I've seen some guys make significant gains within their first to second year in college, and then other guys it takes them a little bit longer, and I think a lot of it has to do with maturity, obviously attitude and so forth. But definitely coming into college with a lot of matches, a lot of freestyle and off-season matches, Greco is definitely an advantage, I think, for these guys when they come in. But again, it doesn't have to be necessarily someone that's just focused solely on wrestling. Really looking for guys that love to compete. It doesn't matter what they're competing. Maybe it's a video game. It doesn't matter whether maybe it's one lap around a track. I mean, guys that hate to lose. Those are the guys that I think are going to be successful at the college level.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time, Steve.
Man. Appreciate it.
Thank you for all your questions. Reminder, week and a half here before we go to regionals. hoping
Yeah.
to send some wrestlers here to the national tournament. But thank you for all your questions, and thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Awesome.